Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hi, welcome to TFYLP, episode 539. We're live tonight. It is Thursday, August 3rd. I'm Lucas. I am joined tonight by Anna.
Good evening.
And Christian.
What up?
And I guess Phil?
Do I have
Phil.
Do I have my camera pointing the right way?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
You could pull a Rick over
Wow.
there. I like it. Phil immediately turns his camera off. He's like,
You
all
go
right,
now.
I'm good. Oh, you're right. We should have used the Microcasters intro.
That's right.
So,
We're back,
yeah,
sort
you're
of.
right.
It's Macrocasters, though, because we got Phil, and we're going to do more things than just talk about reviews. So we have a dog. We're really set up tonight.
Are we doing more stuff in the reviews? I didn't know that.
Well, I figure we had to have a warm-up.
A little bit.
Oh, there we are.
I wanted to talk a little bit about G2 in general, since this is a G2 collection. And, if you guys want to talk about any of the news of the last week or so, that would be fine.
News of the last week.
Yeah, does anyone have anything exciting and spicy that they've learned about Transformers in the last week?
Michael Bay can still ruin all of our dreams.
Huh,
He's not
okay.
Why is that? Why do we say that, Phil?
Because it came out yesterday that in a Variety or Deadline Hollywood article that he still has veto power, and they had to call the CEO of Paramount had to call Michael Bay quote 50 times or he would answer to allow the G.I. Joe thing to be in Rise of the Beasts. And that Michael Bay
I'm so glad that he said it was okay.
Yeah, Michael Bay did not want to taint his vision of Transformers. Sorry, trying to center everything here. Michael Bay did not want to taint his vision of Transformers by having G.I. Joe in it.
When would I ever agree with Michael Bay except in this instance? He was right. He should have stuck with that.
Wow. Here you go.
Why don't you like these guys?
I don't care
he
about
kinda
army
looks like a
guys or
robot,
snake
see?
terrorists, man. I don't care.
Oh,
They're never
that's why it
interesting.
looks all weird.
Oh. As always, Christian's disdain for G.I. Joe is funny, but that is interesting that Michael Bay still has his fingers in our Transformers world, unfortunately.
Why do you think that he doesn't? What world would you think that he is not controlling the movies?
The fact that he's not directing them.
Yeah.
The fact that he's working likely on other projects. And we have now essentially done a bit of a reboot. So those are my reasons for him not,
really a
for me being
reboot?
surprised.
I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Let's not talk about the reboot question. If Paul was here, he'd be pooping everywhere about it. I know he's got very strong opinions, but I think
I'm sure
four of
Paul
us
is
would
lurking
agree
somewhere.
that we just don't care anymore.
Well, Paul made a comment at the beginning, so here in the chat. So I know he's lurking somewhere, but
he mentioned what I've been on about last week has been this missing link Transformers that we got in some pictures of, which are the articulated G1 Optimus Prime and the apparently completely fake articulated G1 Megatron that there are photos of that look a lot like Takara revealed, but there's no concrete thing saying exactly what they are just yet.
Yeah. And I guess, August 9th we're supposed to find out officially according to the translations. So, given that it's in Japan, what would I say? That's 3rd, so likely next Tuesday night we might see something.
Yep.
Or we'll wake up Wednesday morning with the news.
It seems kind of weird that it's like a random day in the middle of the week like that. Because don't they a lot of times reveal that stuff at shows?
It might be an event. It might be a show. Who knows what it's going to be? Maybe they have a Takara pulse that we don't know about.
They have Transformers Tuesday, except for because it's on in Japan or whatever. It's actually Wednesday instead of Tuesday.
And I don't know the Japanese word for Wednesday, so maybe there is alliteration there.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know either. But regardless, there are these pictures. We have a price point now. The price point is not small, right? We saw that the price point was...
Hold on. Before you go to that, sorry, I'm just really imagining that there's... I just really want to see the Japanese versions of BMAC and Mark on some type of a fan stream or something like that, but for Takara. I'm just sitting here really imagining this. This would be fantastic.
I want to see every country's version of Mark. That guy has so much enthusiasm.
Right?
He at least puts off the idea that he loves his job so much. And that's just such a nice thing to see in another person. I've been told I do that. It's really weird. But apparently it leaves a good impression on people.
Man, that's weird. Regardless, in 2023 of someone that loves their job. What do you know?
Right?
But the memes say we should all hate our jobs.
Right?
Okay, so anyway, this is articulated G1.
Yeah, articulated G1 figures. We don't really know what else, right? Because from the pictures, we can tell they have more joints. Or we'll just say it has more joints because the only one that people think is real is the Optimus. So the Optimus has more joints. The trailer that's shown with one of the versions of Optimus seems to be pretty G1 accurate. The whole thing seems to just be the G1 figure with joints. But for all we know, they could come out with it on the 9th or whatever. It'd be it's 2 feet tall, but it's G1 Optimus Prime. And he's made out of foam. I don't know.
I'm really disappointed again that Paul could not make it on because this is his moment. This is his moment to shine. Hopefully Sabertron, he can have his moment on Sabertron and talk about it. But he's been talking about this for years.
Yeah,
he's been
almost as long as I've known him.
Yes. So I
think I want it too. I kind of like it.
So here's the thing. He's a little dusty. I don't mind the price. I mean, compared to what we see from Masterpiece these days, and depending on how big this is, this is not a terrible price, and maybe we'll get on sale from a Hasbro Pulse sale at some point. But the funny thing to me is that the G1 Optimus Prime toy is honestly one of the most articulated G1 toys there is. Granted, he's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but he's got knee joints, he's got toe articulation, he's got elbow joints, he's got butterfly, chest there, and his chest does open up for you could put a custom matrix in there if you wanted to. So is he perfect? Heck no. But I don't know, man. I don't like this idea. I don't like this concept. I like my G1 toys. I like my MP toys where it's the or mini Masterpiece where it's the most up-to-date articulation and animation accurate, and just let those two things be separate. That's my take. Obviously they think there's some sort of market for it, but wrist swivel, as Ron said too. So there's some sort of market for it. So all right, whatever. That's my hot take on this.
I think I could enjoy it, but if it ends up being, the G1 figure reproduced all plastic with more articulation, I don't know about the estimated roughly $70 for the just cab version and roughly $120 or more, depending on
that's
exchange rates and
I
everything
don't know.
else
You have to
for the whole
reset
thing.
yourself for,
Oh, I know.
2023 prices for collectibles too.
Or like, what else could I get for that same amount of money?
Two
Right.
Marvel Legends.
This would be a novelty that doesn't go with anything else. So like,
right. And I could get
I'm
the
intrigued,
Commander.
though.
I could get the Commander Armada Prime for significantly less money, right, than the cab version. And that thing is a modern, big, well-liked figure.
It would be more than the cab version, but less than the trailer version.
Right. I always refer to cabs as trailers and trailers as cabs because I don't care about trucks.
You prefer monkeys?
I think that obviously if this sells well, the concept, like they'll probably keep producing them. Optimus Prime is always going to sell, and it works as like, even if it ends up being a one-off, like it's like Optimus Prime's always a pretty good one-off. So I think from that standpoint, I don't think the price seems like it's too bad, like in this new world of, increased pricing and for everything. So I don't necessarily think it's bad. However, I don't know that it needs to fit in my collection, because like I feel I know for me personally, it's like especially with the fact that I just got a truckload of toys dropped off at my door, that with all the new releases that have come out recently, I feel like I personally don't have the appetite to get like something that doesn't really fit into my collection necessarily. So that's kind of my thought is but like Phil, like you said, down the road, if this comes out and then there's a pull sale X number of months later and it's 30% off of that too, I might be tempted.
Yeah, at a minimum, this toy is wait and see for me.
Those Impossible toys, Bumblebee and Friends, that they made a billion years ago, that were just G1 toy kind of deal with articulation. Those would go really nicely with this.
There you go. Pull out your Impossible
they
toys.
Would. They'd look right together.
Right.
Now I'm expecting a higher quality product out of Takara. I'm expecting a nice strong build and strong joints, because I still have some of those Impossible toys, guys, and they don't hold up extremely well. And like the transformation joints on the feet and legs weren't good when I got them originally, and they're less good now that they're years old. But still, they look right together. Someone did try this once. Impossible Toys did try it. They did make articulated Bumblebee bodies. And I think people liked them for a hot 6 months, and now they're weird, cheap, third-party ancestors.
I think, again, the fact that Takara is doing it, it's probably a different thing than when Impossible Toys did it. So
I imagine they put the effort and quality that they put into their Diaclone reboot stuff into these, right? The Diaclone reboot stuff is very expensive, but it's also very high quality, right? It's like everything they put out for that is like the same carefulness and quality of MP figures. So if they put that kind of TLC into the figure, it might feel worth the higher price than we're used to. It could be something really neat. I am really excited because I'm such a skeptic, I still feel like it could be like, oh, well, that wasn't even real in a week or whatever. But I'm a little excited.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like in general that there's not a lot of fake stuff that gets whatever leaked out there in the Transformers world. So I think that this is probably genuine. So
we'll see.
Yeah, again, I just don't. I do think it seems like the value is there and all that, and I would much rather get this than a reissue of the G1 Optimus Prime. And
so would I.
When they reissued that, like, that was that pre-COVID? The Optimus Prime, just the cab.
The Walmart exclusive. I don't remember if it was
pre-COVID
or like maybe during COVID.
And that one was like $45 too, and that was
50 actually,
or 50. And so like that's where I think this thing where it's like articulated and all that. Like I'd much rather get this than like another reissue of the G1 Optimus Prime.
And all those Beast Wars figures hit clearance, but that Optimus, I don't remember really seeing it at clearance. I remember that Optimus just kind of leaving the shelves. Did it hit clearance? You're making a face, Christian, that indicates you go to Walmart more than me, but you don't.
I don't. It hit clearance online a couple times and in stores locally. So yeah, I don't think it was.
Yeah, I saw.
It was never like this is $5. It was like this is now $30.
Okay.
Which was.
I saw some people post that they were finding it for like $20. So with any clearance item, that's like your mileage is going to vary, and some stores had a lot of clearance.
Sure.
I would
other
definitely
stores
rather have
never
this
clearanced it.
than I don't collect Masterpiece, but if I did, I'd rather have the Missing Link thing than a Toy Deco MP44, which is also coming out.
It's also coming.
Like that MP44 looks like the cartoon. I don't need that to look like the toy. So they can be totally different worlds now, and I think that's kind of cool.
I kind of like that this is coming now because that Toy Deco MP44 really called to me because of nostalgia, right? It's because my little baby hands held a very beat up yard sale version of G1 Optimus Prime when I was still a little kid. And I have that nostalgia, right? Those yellow eyes, imagining him with no fists because I never had fists.
Ron brings up a good point. He says his wish is that the Missing Link could get some Dinobot molds fixed. That would be
That's what's
cool.
More interesting to me. It's all the guys that can't come out because their molds are gone. The Dinobots, the Mirages, the Sunstreaker, and Wheeljack.
Yeah.
That is interesting to me.
That is one thing. If I could have a neat little collection of, some of the main characters, like Optimus Prime and Bumblebee and Megatron and the Dinobots and, whatever. But I know Megatron obviously is a problem. But Starscream, some of those, like, it would be, somewhat intriguing.
Yeah.
So, I guess
what would probably sell in the nostalgia department would be Soundwave.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he would be coming out. So
to me, he'd be one of the easier ones to do.
Yeah.
They could do Soundwave and just put the MP cassettes with them so that they're updated cassettes.
Just like they're doing with the G.I. Joe crossover Soundwave.
Right? You just throw it in MP cassettes wherever. It's true. It's another MP cassette coming out, Christian. It's a Transformers toy.
It's Ravage. Why don't you like Ravage?
Got no problem with Ravage.
Weird blue Ravage. It's fun.
All right, so do we have any other news, or should we get to the reviews of the Toxitron?
I think we should get to the meat and the potatoes of talking about.
We have one other thing. There was second issue of Void Rivals came out. I don't think we've talked about that.
Oh, I didn't get it.
Yeah. So all right. There's another Transformers tie-in at the very end of it, so it's pretty fun, and it's not a Transformer.
First issue. I took my first issue of Void Rivals out of the package and put it on my desk to read, and I don't know where it is. I never actually
taken mine out of the package yet. Also, Earthspark came out last Friday, and season 1 is finally done.
Oh,
we'll have to do an episode about that.
Yeah. I'm halfway through the new episodes.
You should go finish it if you want to, because it's good.
I'm trying. I'm making my way through it with my sons, and yeah.
I think as a whole, it turned out really well. I'd say by themselves, these episodes didn't excite me as much as the previous parts did, but as a whole, I'd say that first season, it's a really nice Transformers product, and everyone should go watch it because it's nice to have good media for Transformers. You know, we're usually running on nostalgia here of things that that happened a long time ago, and having a modern series that holds up with modern sensibilities is really cool. So
yeah, and now we have two of those. It's nice.
And
consider having your kids watch Spark with you too.
Did they announce
if
that they renewed the show as well?
Yes.
So that's
not
cool.
Recently, but it was a while ago.
Yeah.
Yes, we should be getting a season 2. Anything can happen between when a series is renewed and when it actually comes out. You know, it could for some reason end up being canceled or blown up halfway through or whatever. But we're just gonna hope that a season 2 comes.
Yeah, given everything going on in Hollywood right now with the writer strike and the actor strike, then we got the news today that Hasbro did sell off the production side of E1. You know, you do have a little bit of stuff up in the air when it comes to anything media related. So, you know, for instance, you know, it wouldn't shock me if we get the delay of Transformers 1 announced sometime in the near future. Like, I know animators aren't on strike, but the voice actors would be. So, you know, the Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse got delayed, to be determined, and that was kind of coming out roughly the same time frame, maybe a couple months earlier. So Transformers 1, I wouldn't be shocked to see that pushed back, maybe like a December release.
Yeah. Well, I guess, are we ready to...
Apparently Ron's talking all about the, like, quarterly earnings calls here, so there you go. Look at you. So
yeah, there was a lot of talk about that today. I saw a lot of talk about Nintendo's earnings, so I will pay as much attention to Hasbro as I do game companies.
I'm assuming Nintendo made a truckload of money.
They made a truckload of money. It's true.
Yeah.
But did they make as many truckloads of money as the market thought they would? That's always the question.
Right. I think they did. I don't know. I barely read anything. I'm not that interested in market news.
They've come out with a lot of games recently because my kids have bugged me to like run to Target and get those games. And like the new Pikmin game, I went to Target and they didn't even have it.
Oh,
like they sold out. So I had to go to Walmart. How horrible is that?
Pretty horrible.
So
I guess
we
can rule
go on to the reviews here. Anna, how many of these figures did you get?
4 or 5, something like that. All the deluxes.
Okay, so you did not get the Voyagers or the Leaders.
I did not get the Voyagers or the Leaders. I did not touch those. But before we dive in, just briefly, G2. What was G2, right? To us, Generation 2 of Transformers was something that happened in like the 1800s, right? It was very long ago. Some of our viewers, listeners might not even know when and how G2 happened. So what was G2, Christian?
You did your research more for this than I did. What is G2, Anna?
Okay, fine. I can't ask myself questions. It seems weird.
I've now asked
Anna, what is G2?
Thank you. Yeah. G2 a marketing scheme? Is that what G2 was?
I guess, yeah.
Because G2 existed in a few different ways, right? It was the toys, again, right? There were some new toys in G2, none of which we'll really be talking about tonight. But it was mostly repaints. Some rational repaints where you end up with just, slightly different jazz. Yeah, I have my 2 remaining G2 toys. Great condition, right? They flop all over, the heads come off. They're in great condition. I was mean to my toys as a child. And then some that were colors we expected them to be. But they were still the G1 toys, right? And these were toys that were produced or designed in the early to mid 80s, being released in the mid 90s. again as toys filling the shelf, again in various repaints and colors and whatever. And then the cartoon was repackaged. Did any of you guys actually watch the cartoon on the air when it was shown as G2? When it had the weird...
A little bit.
Had those weird, like, those were like CG wrappers, right? They were like really early CG.
Mm-hmm. We had the Cybernet Space Cube telling you about stuff. Good time.
I kind of treated it as a history lesson. Mm-hmm. But what it really was just the G1 episodes again, right? It wasn't actually a new show or any new material. The only new fiction we actually really got for G2 was the freaking comic, right? Which I have not heard. I don't think I've met anyone other than myself. Well, perhaps. I don't think I've met many people who talk fondly. I talk fondly in a kind of sarcastic, tongue-in-cheek way about the G2 comics, but the G2 comics are kind of a weird spot in Transformers comic history. Because, you know, the G1 Marvel run was not short. It was a pretty long run. It was years of Transformers comics. The UK run was long, healthy. The IDW run was long. Dreamwave, we don't really talk about that. The Marvel G2 run was 12 issues. It was short and kind of to the point, self-destructive from the very beginning, right? It was just this. It was the series that the writers and artists did not expect would last more than the 12 issues it was originally promised, and it in fact did not last more than the 12 issues that was originally promised. The art was not exactly, I would not hold it up to today's standards at all. The art was kind of messy and strange. There were lots and lots of bright, strange colors in the coloring. Where, like, I was able to tell that Jazz was mostly in these colors. I just reread the G2 comics so that I would be familiar with them for the show. Jazz was kind of in these colors. Oh, did I manage not to pick up my... No, it's invisible. It's under something else. Sideswipe was, in fact, two colors when he showed up. He was the most G2ified. But a lot of the characters weren't even in their G2 color schemes. They were just as they used to look. Like, yeah, Megatron was a big tank, but Grimlock, I don't think he was blue or teal. He was always kind of a poorly colored grayish blob when he showed up. And most of the characters were just in their original color schemes. And the G2 comics were extremely violent, destructive, killed off beloved characters in really grotesque ways. Like, there was a lot of dismembering and robot skeletons and gore.
To me, one of the most...
won't read Last Stand.
To me, one of the most iconic Transformers covers is the cover of G2 #1. You know, with Optimus Prime's face and like bullets like lodged into his face, and it says, "These aren't your dad's Transformers." So, you know, this was the early '90s. The grim and gritty comic book thing was front and center. We had Watchmen. We had Frank Miller's Dark Knight Return. So this was grim and gritty Transformers, and it was not something I read. But, you know, Anna, to your point with like all these deaths and everything, that was the in vogue thing at the time. Like, you could, you know, back around that time, you could call and vote in of whether or not Joker should kill Robin. And enough votes came in for Joker to kill Robin. Now, this is Robin #2. This is Jason Todd Robin, not Dick Grayson. But, yeah, you had some bloodthirsty Gen Xers and older millennials at that time, and whether or not the chicken came before the egg, I don't know with that. But yeah, comic books were certainly dark, and by the time G2 came around, the comic book, it was sort of like dark and gritty because that's what you were supposed to be, and that's how you were cool and edgy.
And, you know, we always talk about how the movie Optimus Prime became a face taker and he became very brutal and violent. I think it was in the first issue of G2 that they show Prime shooting someone straight through the head. Just a generic soldier, no one of note, but he just shoots a guy through the head. No big deal. And that same scene has all sorts of gritty murders by the Autobots, right? That first issue is just like the Autobots being really ridiculously violent and angry and talking about how much they love killing. It's just a very different take. And from that, we got this guy, right? Who finally got a good figure. We got the villain of G2 comics, G-Axis, who I always call Jaxus because that seems more like a name, but it's supposed to be pronounced G-Axis.
And why is it supposed to be pronounced G-Axis?
I don't know, Phil. Why is it supposed to be pronounced G-Axis? Is this some sort of weird joke by Simon Furman?
Yes.
Because they always knew.
Access. Yeah. Cancel.
Because they always knew that it was going to be canceled. Yep.
Yeah.
So you had G-Axis, who was drawn in almost every scene with giant gritted teeth, because Transformers have teeth now for some awesome reason. Always gritted teeth, usually saliva too. He usually had saliva going in his gritted faces, which I don't get it, but okay.
I mean, if you didn't have G-Axis with his saliva, would you have Kiss Players, Megatron?
Oh, you know what else? The creepy Kiss Players tons. They came from the G2 comics. A bunch of the Decepticons were depicted with weird tentacle-looking segments and tons. Starscream was one of the first ones to do it.
If you want to see where in one of the weirdest tongues in comic books, look up pictures of Hulk 2099. It is contemporaneous to G2 Transformers comics. He has spikes on his tongue.
So the G2 comic was violent, weird, self-contained. It begins, it ends. For me as a kid, I didn't realize the difference between cartoon continuity, comic continuity. I didn't know there was a G1 Marvel comic because that came out, in fact, when I couldn't read yet. And I did not read it. G2 was the first Transformers fiction I had seen since the cartoon, so I thought it was all continuous. I thought it was literally what happened after the cartoon. I did not understand why Optimus and Megatron were back and murdering more people than ever, why everyone had teeth, but that was my continuation of the fiction. That's what I thought Transformers turned into afterwards, and it kind of is, because it did happen. It kind of followed the comics, sort of, in a way. But I didn't know about the comics yet. So it was very formative for me, because I actually read it as a 10, 11-year-old, and it was violent and weird and not where I expected Transformers to go. And yeah, it has a very happy ending, very heartwarming for some reason.
Yet you won't read Last Stand.
That's right. Because it's supposed to be taken seriously, the G2 comics I feel like are just ridiculous farce. Honestly, it's just over the top nonsense.
But I think you make a good point, Anna. You said you read it when you were 10 or 11. And so most G1 fans were maybe a tiny bit older than you. They were 12, 13, 14. And so that's what, again, 12, 13, 14-year-olds were sort of craving out of the comic book world at that point. They wanted that, like, things to have, like, a weight to them. And honestly, at the time, comic book writers, in order for things to feel like they had weight to them, it meant killing people. So, that is what happened. I mean, especially when you're talking about a comic book that is based on a toy line, you're not getting, I'm sure Marvel is looking at this as okay, let's put out this book, but it's not going to be their top priority. It's going to get, the editor's not giving as much attention and all that sort of thing. So not to say that the creators who worked on it didn't put in a good hard amount of work, but just from top down, it was, I'm sure, not, as I said, met with the highest priority.
Yeah, I really didn't feel like it. Like the final issue of the Generation 2 comics, the artist changed. and the art went from to really good for the last issue. And that was very strange to me because as a kid, that was the issue I reread over and over. So all my memories of it were, oh, the art was really nice. People had teeth, but it looked really good. And then I went back and read it, and it was like, oh, it didn't look good until the very end. Huh, interesting.
Now, Anna, where did the Transformers G2 comic really start at? Did it start with the Transformers G2 comic, or did it start before then?
I think that's left. Wait, was that some sort of joke? Christian seems to be laughing.
Yeah, it's a bit of a joke, and Christian knows why.
Oh.
Christian, where did it start?
Get it now.
Stupid ass G.I. Joe.
Because G.I. Joe was big enough at that point in time
to
be the springboard into Transformers.
G.I. Joe did make short appearances in the comic, but not very much, right? They were just in the first few issues very slightly, drawn as completely different people. They were, Snake Eyes was like 6 feet wide. It was very strange. Yeah. It was, they were very slightly mentioned. And they probably all died in the G2 comic because a lot of people think that the entire population of the Earth was wiped out in the G2 comics. So that's speculation. It's not confirmed. But
hey, as long as it kills all of the army guys and all the snake terrorists, it's worth it.
I mean, if the entire population of the Earth was killed, I'm sure there's like Space Destro somewhere. He might have flown off. He might be safe.
We must get him. He's next.
There is a toy Space
next
Destro.
Week, Christian's revenge on Space Destro.
I used to have the toy of Space Destro.
Where's that dude who used to do crayon fan art of us? He can draw me going after Space Destro.
Going after Space Destro.
Dang, I came in too late.
Yeah.
Oh, did you not have crayon fan art of you? That was a weird time, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
But
jealous.
really more because of Dawn than
it was
anything
Dawn,
else. So there was a guy
that
there was a guy that would draw Dawn like all the time in like various episodes or various comic book covers. And so that's like what he did. And so he used to draw us and then also on the RFC podcast as well. And then there was a little bit of a little bit of a fight back and forth between us and RFC over Dawn, and so kind of interesting.
Well, I will say, to be drawn in a famous comic book cover, that'd be pretty endearing. So kudos to that. I guess I just suck. I guess what you're saying is like I suck as a cast member. No, but the fact that I have not
I guess not.
But the fact that I've not inspired someone to draw me in a famous comic book cover just means I suck. So I hear you. I'm not saying you're wrong.
It was an odd time.
We can't all be Dawn though, is the thing.
True.
Right.
So
I'm just not that
famous. Going back further in the Wayback Machine, what are some of the things that are still with the Transformers general fandom from G2? What survived of G2?
Designs, ridiculous colors. You know, another interesting thing about the way they wrote the G2 comics is the new characters that were introduced as the next generation Transformers were G-Axis and his army. G-Axis did not get a toy until way after G2. G-Axis's army did not get a toy until a few months from now, right? Because the troop builder of his army is the first time they will ever be getting a toy. So the characters in that story that were new didn't really get toys. They didn't really use the toy characters to depict the story.
Mindset got a toy 12 years ago.
Who did?
Mindset.
Was he where did
that toy come out?
Reveal the Shield.
Reveal the Shield. Okay. He was like the blue missile launcher guy, right? Yeah. That was a cool design.
It was. I remember that. Didn't last long, but no one did.
Weird time.
Right?
Yeah.
Mostly we see G2 Sideswipe. Pretty common color scheme.
G2 Megatron, Laser Optimus Prime, Tank Megatron, Laser Optimus Prime. Toys. Yeah, those are pretty big standouts, and whatever name you want to give the stealth bomber, he's had quite a few names over the years. That was a standout toy from my perspective, and has reared its head in multiple times over the years in the Transformers universe.
So, one thing that happened in G2 is that a bunch of designs were made that didn't get made into toys. Because as far as I know, G2 didn't really catch on, right? And we're kind of lucky for that, because that led to Beast Wars. And Beast Wars led to good fiction again, and a fresh perspective on toys and ball joints and all sorts of things that did a lot of positives for Transformers. But G2 also resulted in a pile of unproduced designs that were later released in books that people pined for and were interested in. Wouldn't it be cool if we got toys in those weird decos? Because G2, this blue Grimlock I showed was not the weirdest color scheme to come out of G2.
Can I pause real quickly there and talk about someone who experienced G2 on the shelves when it happened?
You?
Who is that? You?
Me. And Lucas, feel free to chime in. And Anna, as you said, you experienced it as well. I had moved on from Transformers at that point to G.I. Joe, because G.I. Joe was making new toys, and not just new toys, but like new characters, new designs. And so when G2 Transformers came out, like, Anna, hold up your jazz again. That, to me, when I saw him on the shelf, was, why is there a repaint from a 10-year-old toy with a gun from a G.I. Joe figure on top of it? Because that's what all those weapons were. Those weapons were reused from G.I. Joe toys, because like the spring-loaded weapons had become in vogue at that point in time in toys. So to me, that was my reaction of like, why are these old toys coming out with G.I. Joe guns? And I just didn't enjoy that reuse. To me, I felt like it was getting ripped off by something that wasn't new, and I didn't want to touch it.
For me, it was exciting because I always wanted Dinobots. I didn't get Dinobots until G2.
I had Dinobots already, and like a blue Grimlock was like, what the F is this?
That was cool. He's blue for some odd reason.
I had like the same reaction to the G2 toys as almost if they were a knockoff.
I get that. Yeah, because they're the same toys produced in obnoxious colors for some odd reason. That's what knockoffs were at the time, is they were usually our toys with a little bit of reduction in quality and preposterous color schemes. So yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
For me, I was excited. I didn't understand why toys were produced in the wrong colors. I remember being disappointed that I was stuck with a red Snarl because that's all I could find. But it was nice to have him and to be able to play with the toy, but why was he red? Why was my Slag green? I didn't understand things like repaints back then. And those repaints had no explanation, really, right? There was no explanation of why they got the new colors.
No.
When we get repaints, even in the Armada years, the repaints were supposed to mean something. It was like, oh, they got powered up. They got Minicon Love Time or something, and they got better and stronger. But for G2, it's just like, blue Grimlock is Grimlock, but blue. Is he stronger than regular gray Grimlock? I don't know. Is he weaker? Does he taste like blueberries?
And I think that was probably a realization on Hasbro's point that you need some sort of fiction to go along with this, and hence why Beast Wars had the cartoon.
Yeah, for sure. Because, again, the G2 comic didn't even use the designs. Optimus did have his black trailer for, like, the scene that Optimus had his black trailer. Megatron was his G2 look. Starscream didn't even look like Starscream, so let's not get into him. He was just a tooth guy with a big tongue.
That was the other thing, is that they had besides the spring-loaded weapons that were shoved on them, there were now the Starscream and Optimus had like the additional parts on them to like make blasting sounding noises. So Starscream had the orange little tank that went on the back of his jet mode, and Optimus had the little like Autobot face sleeve that would go on the front of his trailer to be able to like press a button and make little noises and whatnot. I don't even know what noises they made, to be honest with you, but again, it was just sort of shoehorning modern play patterns into old toys, and I was just like, no, I'm not biting for this. And you know, to a couple people in the chat's points, it's like, you know, Ron's point, nowadays as adults, we're like, oh yeah, I'll buy the repaint of that in a heartbeat.
Right.
You know, so whatever.
So now
my brain at that point 5 years ago was half my lifespan.
Right. So now we've moved on, and a lot of those canceled designs are coming back now, right? That Toxitron collection that we talked about when it was revealed. It was exciting. It was a Walmart exclusive-ish. And that, you know, it also went up on Hasbro Pulse, and I think that's where most of us got ours. And one of our goals for tonight, in addition to talking about G2 a little bit, was to actually talk about those toys, because Christian and Lucas are excited to share. I think Lucas was actually the first one to mention talking about the toys.
Right. Well, Christian and I have been talking about this pretty much since it was announced or leaked or whenever it was, where we're just like, oh man, like this is so amazing, like so much neon. Like all these figures just look so great, and so we've been excited from the get-go, from when it was announced. So the day is finally here. We finally like what there's an interesting configuration there, Anna.
That's going to work. Yes,
there you go. Christian, I guess, is the same way. What do you know?
It's the only way all the guns can go in the vehicle,
man. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. So, yeah, I guess, are we talking about Jazz first, I guess?
Yeah.
Can I make a quick thing before we dive into what's inside the box?
You've had
Can I
so
talk
many
about the box itself?
Oh,
yeah.
The boxes itself are amazing. Like, I love this mural that they did, like, but they turned down the colors, and they like took away the like Photoshop, like making it these colors that blend and swirl together, and just made it these like just stark colors here, and it's just like, god darn, does that look cool. And then like the colors of the toys themselves, like these boxes are freaking outstanding.
Well, and the boxes I feel like are reminiscent of the whatchamacallit, Nickelodeon, like the green slime kind of deal.
Yeah.
Because it's so strange that the whole thing is based around Toxitron, right?
He's not from G2.
Right.
He is also canceled, but not from G2.
He was a canceled toy, and when we first got pictures of Toxitron, we were like, "Oh, it's a canceled toys collection." Then everything else was G2.
It's G2.
It's a very interesting way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say though, just in general, the boxes, like, you know, going back to the Velocitron collection, like I thought it was cool, but I can definitely see where these, you know, 100% have more of a shelf presence than. You know, than the Velocitron stuff, and it's hard to say to compare like sales, but I know I went to Walmart the other day, and they happened to have a wave, and it's like I went in there, like, you know, whatever, one day, like the day they first hit, and they'd already sold through a few, and then like I went a couple days later and they sold through almost all of them, like. So, and again, it's the first wave, and I know Velocitron, you know, it seemed like they got more, but it seems like it's selling well, at least, of like what's hit Walmart so far.
Did anyone else have the issue with the Velocitron toys that you saw the newer cartoon He-Man toys on the shelf and think that was Velocitron toys? Because they had the same sort of blue and light blue color pattern on the box. Yeah, I remember like texting with Paul and like effing He-Man toys. Like, you know, you'd see that like on the, especially like it'd be on the top of the shelf, like sitting up there, like, oh, is there like a stash of Velocitron? Like, nope, that's He-Man. It's He-Man.
Well, and I do appreciate that Walmart did their trick of between Toxitron and Velocitron, where they have 5 deluxes in the wave. So then they're short packing a couple, and then you know, I don't necessarily know if the ones they short packed. I guess the what was it, breakdown or whatever was. I guess you need. I don't know if they're gonna do a full G2 Minosaur, but what? Christian, you're looking.
Nothing. Just breakdown doesn't exist yet.
Or not breakdown.
Dead end.
Dead end. Sorry. Dead end.
I was just waiting to see where you were going.
Yeah, dead end or whatever was short packed with it, and so then it's like, okay, if they do actually release all the Stunticons, you know, like those ones are going to be all like impossible to find. Of course, who knows? Maybe they'll just do another box set like they did with the.
Yeah, because getting a hold of Shadow Strip now is not fun. I can tell you, it is not a fun thing to look for.
Just do the thing I told you about, and don't tell anybody else.
I want one, and
but even Dead End is hard to find again. Like. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I got him, but anyway, Jazz first, okay? Jazz first. So the actual G2 Jazz we got, like I mentioned, kind of bland. You know, it was just Jazz with some different stickers. This thing was a canceled design, much more ridiculous. He's got Doritos on the side, and is orange and red. Doritos
violent.
Jazz.
And he comes with 2 new accessories that are not from his toy, but are instead from Hound's toy. Hound's shoulder launcher and Hound's hollow gun.
I did not know that.
Surprise! You'll see them next month when you get Detritus, because they're also on that mold.
Did not buy either.
Well,
that's what I was trying to figure out. I was like, why the heck does it have all these accessories with him? And you know,
it's because they wanted the
homage
shoulder
to
launcher
this.
For real. Yeah, it's an homage to that. And they wanted the shoulder launcher, and then this is just part of the sprue.
The mold or whatever. I got it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
He can sort of use it as a shoulder launcher, although I expect some kit will come out and fix that. Could you demonstrate, Lucas, into your in bot mode?
What? Like how do I actually do it?
It goes between his shoulder and the windshield.
Oh, like you just kind of throw
it
on
you just kind of set it there. Yeah, like that.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's not really like
fairly stable.
I mean,
yeah, there's not, but it can do the thing. Yeah, see?
Kind of.
You just put it on a shelf and don't touch it or don't breathe.
Right. So, yeah. But my favorite thing about, this is I just love the wild colors and like the gradation of the orange to the red. I think is really cool.
It's very violent. It's very neon. It assaults you.
Yes.
This is ridiculous.
Everyone to be assaulted by the colors of a toy. This collection's for you.
It's bright 100%. And silly and over the top.
Well, and they painted the wheels. Like that was cool too. They didn't have to do that.
And I think it's honestly, this toy design is almost more G2 than the actual G2 we got. Because it's just so over the top and bright and ridiculous. And so were the actual G2 toys, but this takes the cake.
Yeah, this thing is wild. I mean, even the symbol color is crazy. It's yellow. It's a yellow G2 Autobot symbol. Why? Because it can be.
Christian, you sent a note out recently on social media to a company in terms of what you'd like to see done with this toy. Can you talk about that?
Did you drop me a like?
I don't know. I think I will. I apologize if I had not.
All right. As long as you do, I will say it. These are the same base colors as Shatterglass Stepper, which is a BotCon 2015 exclusive. And with some stickers from Toy Hacks, this could easily be Shatterglass Stepper. So I bought 2. I feel like that's an easy thing for either them or just me with my custom paints and stickers, I can make it myself. But it would be cool if that would happen.
So I want to piggyback on that note and just say right now, my sentiment with just about all of these toys, some I have, some I don't have, is they would benefit drastically from Toy Hack / Repro Label stickers. That there just seems to be a lot of detail missing. The colors are awesome. The colors will, like, these toys will jump out at people off your shelves. But, like, look at Jazz's face. It's like you can barely see any facial features on there.
We'll get to that with some of the other characters in this collection because I have the same feeling.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
there's
one I will
that's
say,
going on.
Yeah, the face is a little weird with that. Like, if the visor had been a different, and I don't know, like the original unreleased toy, like, is this how it looked? I have no idea.
Yeah.
So
that's how it looked.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like there was less contrast in the helmet and the visor and the art than there is the figure we got. So they did add a little bit of contrast to it, which is a good choice because no contrast would look bad.
Yep. We'll talk about that again later too. But I think probably out of this whole group, Jazz might have the most paint ops, maybe the second most.
I was gonna say, I mean, I don't necessarily know. I mean, Jazz has a fair amount of paint apps.
But I think what we're seeing,
but yeah, there's other
what
ones,
Phil is describing is that many of the toys, not even just these guys, but just toys in general, are kind of relying more on plastic colors rather than paint.
Yeah.
A little bit of a cost reduction here. That's okay. They're still looking good. They're molding in the correct color, so it's usually...
Yeah, it looked really good the way it came out with the colors and the ridiculousness. And the only bummer for me is that there's actually a decent amount of uses of this mold now. The Studio Series 86 Jazz, like it's getting used quite a bit. And one use I own of it is complete rubbish.
Three?
Yeah, more than one.
I painted like 2 or 3 more of them, so it's like how many are there actually?
Okay. Well,
I'm trying to count. I think it's 3.
Of course, Jackpot, right? Which is a
it's
travesty.
4. I forgot about Jackpot. Jazz, Jackpot, Knockout, Jazz again.
Oh yeah, Knockout. I forgot about him because I didn't get him. So yeah, Knockout was another use of the mold. We all expect there will be a stepper off of it. So
probably.
Surely to go with that art fire, right? Surely there will be a stepper to go with the art fire, just like there was totally an art fire to go with the last stepper, because there wasn't. But
unless that was the one to go with them.
Yeah, right. Those two go together, and you're just stuck with that old stepper mold, which is the old Jazz. But anyway, so that's my only slight bummer, because I feel like I'm stuck with that Jackpot forever, because I don't know if there will ever be a secondary market for that Jackpot because of his grotesque face. Very G2, right? But he's not a G2 character, so.
And it's also one of those.
Sliced in half.
Yeah, he's also one of those characters that it's like, will Hasbro ever like make another version of him?
Right. Who cares about him, right? So.
Yeah.
Such a bummer on that guy.
You had the original, a Fun Pub toy, and Slice Face.
My only slight bummer about this is that the mold is getting used a decent amount. But then we could just segue naturally into a mold getting used a decent amount. We have...
Technically, maybe Sideswipe.
Same.
And this one is the most expensive one of the wave, right? Like... If you're buying it on the secondary market, it's pretty... Because this one's short-packed.
Yep.
Dead End are short packs.
And, yeah, him and Dead End. And, like, it's going for a pretty penny online, I think, right?
About 60, 65.
And he has a manufacturing error present on the whole run. Lucas, will you please show us the manufacturing error?
What's the manufacturing error? I'm sorry, I don't
know. Hold him up, head to shoulders.
He's got the wrong head.
Oh, the head is.
No, was that not the head shown in the product shots? Okay, so it was
just an only Sideswipe on the back of the box and in the product shots. This is Red Alert's head.
Oh, okay.
Which to me makes him cooler because he's more unique parts. compared to my other side swipes.
I didn't realize that he was supposed to have sideswiped head. I thought it was.
Well, sideswipe would generally have sideswipe's head. I would think.
Generally,
right, but I'm just saying that I didn't realize it was, that they.
Yeah,
was it messed up?
Do you have the box handy? Either of you?
No,
Mine's upstairs.
I don't. Sorry.
Or Phil.
Okay. You want to see the box?
If you look in the back of the box, sideswipe.
Hold on, give me just a second.
That was pretty close.
But man,
you can't actually see your on your camera.
You can kind of tell.
I can tell you
ears like sideswipe does. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see the difference.
Surprise!
Yeah, that's really amusing that happened.
Well,
yeah, that's
if
definitely.
You want to talk about lack of paint or whatever, I guess at least he has eyes that are painted, I suppose. But
so some of the shots we got of him made it look like his eyes were also blue. So like helmet was blue, his face was blue, and his eyes were blue. And I almost didn't order the figure because of that, because if I couldn't see anything on the head, I was going to hate it so much. I feel like this is the one where they went straight from the art, right? The art showed him with just the plain blue head with only color in the eyes, and the head and the face were the same color. I feel like they should have made them different shades like they did for Jazz. Yeah. Like, just a slightly lighter blue on the face to make it just stand out a little bit better would have made the toy nicer. And I know they wanted to stick to that original design document, but since they messed up the head anyway, like Christian said, and used the red alert head, why not give it a little color?
Yeah, this toy to me is such a just schizophrenic kind of toy, because on one hand, you've got these amazing tampos, you've got this great blue to yellow gradation of the paint, and it looks so good. And then the head is just the head and the shins, the shins in the robot mode and the head in the robot mode are just all right, it's kind of lame, but it just it's a cool toy and a disappointing toy at the same time.
Another thing is, if you watch our show, you probably own a version of this already, right? Because this sideswipe mold has been used 2,000 times in the last few years. Yes, some of them are Cybertronian and some of them are Earth mode, but there are so many versions of it.
I see.
But you probably have one. It's fine. It's a good toy. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing I would ask for is wrist swivel. Christian's pointing out something else about it.
Missile problem.
Yeah, the missile problem.
It's very loose connection. I don't know why.
Mine isn't loose. Mine actually is fine.
Okay, great. Well then.
So a few people have pointed out that I have this is the first G2 sideswipe we got in the new toys, right? And this was the actual G2 sideswipe used in the comics and released to the public. And in my opinion, these two are equally fun 90s decos. I think they're both really cool. And I like owning both of them. But what I was going to say is people have pointed out that from the time when we got this G2 sideswipe back then, this little missile launcher thing had a nice, big, thick peg that went into the launcher. And this newest version, for some reason, has a much scrawnier peg, right? There's only a little bit of big part and then it gets little. So it doesn't hold in as well as the original printings of the figure. Now it's loose.
Interesting.
People have wondered, is that cost cutting? I seriously doubt that's cost cutting, because they'd have to do the mold.
I was gonna say that seems weird to me, because the mold, why, they wouldn't have redone the mold, I wouldn't have think. So
unless it's a thing that got introduced with the Kingdom pieces.
Oh, maybe.
I guess it is technically a different piece, just because the original one has the peg off the bottom of the missile part, and this one doesn't. So it is missing plastic in other places as well.
Griffin was asking if the gradient of the like blue and yellow is different on each leg, and mine is. Like it goes up further on one leg than the other.
Yeah.
Mine are very
I sure
close.
hope someone got fired for that.
Right.
I hope not.
I'm kidding. Please don't.
Oh, Ron says the shattered glass sideswipe missile peg is the same way. So I mean, it's probably some running change.
It's fine. It's just like Christian pointed out, it comes out actually too easy. So if you're someone who likes to move toys around or pose them or play with them, make sure you don't lose it or lose it and don't care, depending on the kind of collector you are.
Right.
That is kind of funny though, in terms of how many times we're getting this mold. Is this like we've seen this toy for a little bit, in terms of leaks and all that, but then at the time we got to order it, we also ordered within several days another version of this mold in terms of the shattered glass sideswipe.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. With a different head though. It's another new head. And that one has a new chest. Yeah, that's right. Until we get it, and it's original
that's true.
Head, Red Alert's head, of the Scribe's head. Who knows?
So would you describe this guy as G2 sideswipe, Malibu sideswipe, or Yacht Rock sideswipe?
Miami Vice Red Alert is who he is.
Or Miami Vice Red Alert. That works too.
Miami Vice Red Alert. I like that.
Yeah, because he does have a alert head, so that did make him that. Yeah, I
Red
like
Alert when he was part of a Vice unit and like busting coke dealers.
I like it more in hand than I thought I would. I really hesitated because of the face, but the weird sunset deco is just it's so bizarre and enjoyable.
I remember asking my parents once about the final episode of Miami Vice. Because that was like a big deal back in the day. And my parents said, listen, Miami Vice episodes ended in 3 ways. They catch the guys, they kill the guys get away. In the last episode, the guys got away. And that was the end of the show. Something that randomly stuck with me some 35 years later.
Yeah, spoilers, jeez. All right, so Anna, what's the next one that you have?
Let's talk about the one I don't have next. So here's a little bike.
Oh, laser cycle.
It's like her, but worse. I have it, but I haven't opened it yet. I don't think I'm gonna open it. I think I'm just gonna wait for a while.
Laser cycle Jazz.
Someone else.
There are two Jazzes in this wave.
Some of the paint, like if you're looking at it, I don't know the way it would have been. I don't know if they would have been able to do something. It's a little disappointing that like it's pretty white. There's a fair amount of white, and then like I don't know, whatever in bot mode. You don't really see the, some of the colors. So I don't know. Yeah, this is definitely the one where I'm like not as excited by it. I don't know about you, Christian. What you?
I'm really glad it exists because Laser Cycle Jazz is one of those mythical pieces where there's like 4 or 5 of them out there. You could theoretically maybe get one day. This is this. This is that now. But also, it's a weak mold that we've gotten several times now, and it's just like, all right, well, maybe we could do something different. I'm glad it's here. I've opened 2 of this mold in the past 2 days, and I don't like it anymore. It's not bad.
On my desk right now.
I liked this mold the first time we got it, like the 6th time that we've got it, or whatever. I don't know how many times we've gotten it. Is that probably about right?
RC. Road Rocket,
Flame War,
Laser Cycle, Aerial.
Yeah. Is there another one?
You're still on one hand, Christian. So.
Yeah, so I guess it's only been 5.
Level shot.
But like, nevertheless, like the sideswipe, I really like that mold, and so it's like the fact that we have 50 billion of those, it doesn't bug me as much. Like this one, it's okay, and I wouldn't mind having. you know, one version of it. I just don't know that I need as many as that we have.
My problem with that mold is I think we climaxed here. I think Flame War is just such a good use of the mold. The colors on her are perfect. She fits the mold, like her character, the way she's written, and anything she shows up in just really fits the way this thing looks. Like better than RC did, better than the laser cycles do.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bummer that we're still getting versions, and you know, we're getting versions that decidedly look worse, like Ariel. But we're also getting the kind of generic one because that one has about as much personality as its other G2 bike friend did.
Yeah.
Maybe a little less personality, actually. Cheers ahead.
It's a cool thing for them to have done, and I'm glad they did it, and I'm glad I own it. But I can be done with this one now, except the one I got last year to paint yellow.
Because it's a straight repaint of Road Rocket, right?
Yeah, same
head, same everything. Okay. And Road Rocket's fine. I do find it interesting. The one kind of random thing they did with releasing this, as Christian said, Laser Cycle Jazz is not on the toys packaging. It's just Laser Cycle. And I think that happened for two reasons. One is because Jazz is also in this wave as Jazz. But two is every other usage of this mold has been a woman character. Every other, even this one, who had always been identified as a male character in previous incarnations, on the Pulse stream, they made Road Rocket a woman character. So I think that's one reason they removed Jazz from it. So it wouldn't be, for one, it doesn't have Jazz's head, right? There's no jazzness to the head. It's just a nice plain Road Rocket repaint. But for two, they just hadn't used the mold for a guy before, so they still haven't, technically, because this one has no name, no personality, no background, nothing.
This is a toy that I do again feel that sense of the vehicle mode looks great. I love that's sort of seafoam green color they used for the headlamps and the accent color. The going from the yellow to the white looks great. But then, like you said, Lucas, you lose a ton of that when you go to robot mode. So I have a feeling because this is 2 per box, this will probably be one that'll be shelf warming. If I can get a deal on this and Toy Hacks Repro Labels does some good stickers set for this, I'd probably pick this up at that point in time. Yep. It does look cool. I think I would prefer having this over Road Rocket. But yeah, I mean, I already own Road Rocket because it came out first. But I would say this does look a little bit cooler. In bike mode, robot mode, it has a lot to be desired.
Like the rest of the figures in this collection, it's like a weird piece of what could have been history. So I'm glad to have a representation of it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Christian, do they make any notice on there is no copy on the box of who the character is, right? Okay. Have they made any notice of this, if it's a male or female? Not that it matters. I'm just curious.
Well, they just haven't given it a character, right? It's nobody. Yeah. It is just Laser Cycle. And I think that's the bummer for it. Like, I don't care
read the Pulse listings just in case. Nothing.
Okay.
I don't care if they make it Jazz again. I don't care if they make it a new character. It's just weird for it not to be anyone. Maybe it's another troop builder, though, right? Maybe it goes with your troop builder set. Maybe there's like the Laser Cycle army that was never in any fiction. Maybe more people for access to control.
This collection made me realize that they haven't been putting those QR codes on exclusives. Yeah, they're just on the main line. So like this would be perfect. Like, okay, who is Laser Cycle now? What is the character to scan? It doesn't exist. You can't do it.
Because that's literally something I did the day I got it. I was like, ooh, I'm going to scan Laser Cycle's thing. I never do the QR code thing, but I'm going to do it so I can figure out what they made Laser Cycle into. It was like, sorry, Laser Cycle does not have a QR code, nor does anyone. Too bad. Sorry, Anna. Fun stuff.
All right.
So if
So
you're not
what's
into
the
the
next?
history of it, that's probably a pass. But if you are into the history of it, it's fine.
Well, let's get into Anna's regrets. Let's go on.
What? How is it a regret, Anna? This is like
because I don't have shadow strip.
You'll get shadow strip.
You can figure it out.
So I'm bummed because this is beautiful.
You will
it's
have
so
a
well
shadow
done.
strip in 3 months.
3 months.
The head's painted pretty. You're talking about head paint. Like this is.
No,
painted,
this is the best of the bunch in terms of paints, in my opinion.
Yeah.
What is this? Why is it not collapsing? Does yours have that?
Oh,
or
the
did I forget how to
footsies?
transform?
Or is your front not collapsing?
Gapped. I don't know. It could be
my footsies won't close in the back.
Yeah, mine have issues.
My front closes just fine, but my footsies won't close.
Yeah, so that's not great on the second use of this mold.
No, it's not. Third use coming soon.
Third use coming soon. But it still does look nice. I mean, we've had this figure before in the Combiner Wars. And that figure looked about the same as this, but this is, of course, a nicer figure.
Yeah.
I love the giant Decepticon symbol because
big Decepticon symbol.
The exaggerated cartoony G2 symbol just in giant form like that. Red contrasted with black. It just looks big.
And I love the metallic sheen on the weapons and all the turquoise in the figure.
Yeah.
Oh, they're pretty. Yeah.
Very pretty weapons. It's got the same accents, the shoulders and the chest here.
Mm-hmm.
Also painted rims. Important to note because it doesn't always happen. Yeah, it's nice. It's still dead end. It's still nice from before when we probably didn't review it on Microcasters.
Yeah.
Probably didn't.
Probably didn't.
Good. I had never played with it before because I don't have the original Minosaur, and I like it. The feet are a little weak on it. Like you can barely tell he has feet, but he's still good. He does have feet.
They have ankle tilt at least, Anna.
Yeah, they work. They're functional. They just don't look much like feet. But as we talked about before on Microcasters, they don't have to have human feet, right? They can have any kind of feet because they're robots. Robot toys, really.
Yep.
Yeah, he's cool.
I don't know. Maybe I've transformed mine wrong, but it does have kind of fitment issues. I'll try again. I only transformed them once so far.
Yeah, me too.
He's
I love them in Karma. No, it's good. I like it. I'm happy to have it. And I just hope they finish it. Like, there's just that little bit of worry because Shadow Strip was a straight year ago, right? Or was he only half a year ago?
That was a year ago.
About December.
Yeah.
Okay. So almost a year ago. So, if we keep with that pace, it's going to be a very long time before we complete G2 Minosaur. So I wouldn't mind if maybe we got all 3 of the other ones in the next year so that it was done. Because, it would be good to get this over.
Well,
because, the risk you're always running is if they really, if we keep going with Siege to Legacy Part 2, Legacy Part 3 coming, has all been kind of the same design philosophy, the same kind of toys, the same general look. But what if by the time we get the Motormaster, they change that design philosophy? Would they bother putting out a Motormaster still, or just be like, yeah, we moved on from that kind of stuff? So I want them to come sooner so I can finish the darn thing.
Yeah.
I see your worry. I think it's unlikely just because...
I think it's unlikely too.
Yeah.
The last kind of leak rumor we had about this set was that Motormaster was having a problem finding a home. It's an expensive toy. Commanders don't often get repaints, so I think Walmart was having issues carrying something that large in the wake of, Velocitron stuff not selling as well as they'd hoped. This collection, like Lucas mentioned, seems to be selling a little bit better, so perhaps their fear will be alleviated.
I don't know. Like they did the Shattered Glass Jetfire. Like is a
that is the one
so.
Commander repaint.
Yep.
It has happened one time, and that is it.
We've gotten more Titan repaints than we have Commander repaints, by far.
It's true.
Yeah.
3 times as many. I missed one. Well.
One more deluxe.
Watermelon
Whoa!
Mirage.
It's a Watermelon Mirage. And Phil has this one.
Mm-hmm. I have it out of the package.
The only one without painted rims of the deluxes.
The only one without painted rims.
It is true. Yeah. And I feel like this one definitely seems like it has the least amount of paint. I mean, I guess there's the silver paint on the front and the numbers. But it I don't know. To me, I guess it has a little alligator tampo.
That tampo is something that I have to talk about for a second. Like, what the hell is that? It is so weird looking.
I have no idea.
Right, like that, to me, and I looked back at the original art document of him, and it doesn't look like the artist just did a quick scribble alligator for funsies, but it kind of does look like the artist just did a quick scribble alligator for funsies. Like they were thinking, if we actually produce this, we'll make it into like a full-fledged alligator. But they were just like, oh, quickly jot a little alligator on there.
I guarantee you, your beloved Mark drew this alligator. 100%. It looks like his art style.
You're right, it does, and you can just see the excitement that would have gone into that. He would have been like, I'm going to draw this weird little squiggly alligator. I'm going to make it as much like the original as I can. It's going to be crazy.
And he nailed it. I mean, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's weird and silly, but it looks like
the art document. But I looked, and it's not an exact transfer. Like, it's not the exact picture that was on that art document. It's a little different, but it definitely has the spirit of weird squiggle alligator. Two-headed squiggle alligator.
I have a mild theory / headcanon thing, is that there was a Hot Wheels alligator car in the 80s that they've reused the mold a bunch of times, but this was that Hot Wheels car in the 80s, and I apologize for, there we go. It's a little bit better, view of it. And that there seems to be a little bit of a homage to this.
And they call it Squiggle Gator.
Yeah.
I love Squiggle Gator. Squiggle Gator's weird.
What is the name of that Hot Wheels car? They all had names. I gotta figure out that name. It's gonna bug me.
What are the little balls? Are those bubbles? Are those scales?
Those are the alligator scales.
Yeah, but yeah, they do kind of look like bubbles. It's weird.
Scales.
Yeah,
that's strange because I think of him as looking like watermelon bubble gum. So I think that primes the concept of bubbles in my head.
I think it's also interesting that we got a third-party version of this before an official.
We did. Yeah.
But that company was just like, hey, how many different ways can we reuse this mold?
Yeah, that's true.
We did reuse things like crazy. This is fun, right? Like this is a very fun color scheme. I like how it is bright. It's kind of girly. It's not a color scheme you see in a lot of Transformers. I like it a lot. It's very amusing.
We do kind of lose out on the Transformer Autobot insignia there on the front of it, the hood, if you want to say. I don't know if race cars have a hood like that, because then it gets split, and then the pink and the red kind of wash each other out. So again, some repro labels would help this out. And we still have the Mirage that can't have his missile launcher on his shoulder.
Yes, so he and Jazz both need launcher holders for this wave.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of companies out there that made Mirage ones. I hope someone does one for Jazz because I'll just pick that up and do it.
And mine doesn't tab together as well. I don't know if the earlier versions of this mold I had issues with. I can't remember. But my front
end. They kind of, They kind of have some difficulties.
I probably just need to get a bunch of launchers and get one for Crasher and Leadfoot at the same time too. Wow. It is odd though. I mean, that's part of Mirage's silhouette. That's what he looks like. And for this toy not to be able to do that is just so weird.
It is.
Still so weird.
It's just, I think it's extra weird because the Cybertronian mode can do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the Earth mode doesn't, even though like the Earth mode is clearly the sequel figure, just a remold of the Cybertronian. It's weird.
It's
weird choices
really
were made
strange.
with that. But yeah, there's options for upgrade kits for every other version of Mirage, so hopefully there's an option for this one soon in a color that would make sense. Although I think there's already a silver kit out there, and you could probably just use the silver kit to do it, and it would look okay. There's not a green or a pink kit.
There's not.
Out there, so
I'm sure there will be.
hopefully. But it's cool. It's well done. No one else has had a weird head issue except for Sideswipe, right? He was it that had the unusual head variation. The others you get, but you
the mold. I gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's some sort of misdirection at the factory level. Like, put this part on instead of this part.
I doubt it's a misdirection. It was probably a budget thing of like, hey, we've used the Sideswipe head a bunch. We haven't used the Red Alert head a bunch. Let's get something out of that mold. Or the Sideswipe head mold had been degraded more than they wanted to see.
So out
Depends
of
on
all
where
those
the
guys
pieces
so
are
far,
located.
Yeah.
out of all those guys so far, only one actually showed up in the G2 fiction. It's just Sideswipe. I think Mirage was there. He wasn't in these colors or any fun colors.
Jazz was there, just not in these colors.
Yeah, Jazz was there. That's true.
Can I talk about an honorable mention for this wave?
Or
It's not a G2 toy, but I feel like it fits in really well, and that's the buzzworthy tow line.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fact that this is hitting the shelves right at the same time, like my kids are playing with tow line and my G2 guys at the same time. It's like it just fits so well.
Yeah,
Like,
the colors actually match up pretty well. Yeah.
Great toy, and this one I like so much because of how many different molded plastic pieces they have in all the different colors. So in both vehicle mode and bot mode, it's like, wow, this is a gonna stick out on your shelf kind of toy.
And tow line's technically RID, right? But it is a reuse of a G2 mold.
Yeah.
Reuse of a Machine Wars.
Machine Wars, okay.
That was meant for G2, but did not come out.
Yeah. You know, it's not a mystery machine.
It is not.
No, it is not. But it's still cool. Like, I'm kind of jealous of that one. Like, I don't want a bunch of uses of that mold, but I'm still kind of thinking about getting it.
Yeah. Let me know if you see it around, Anna, because I still need
to
pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't run into it yet.
I just found it last Friday. It was the first time I saw it in stores.
I haven't seen it, but I haven't really been hunting, so.
I found it in 2 stores back to back on Friday, and then like the next 2 stores I went to later on the weekend didn't have them.
I got mine from Pulse.
Yeah,
I sold out really fast on Pulse.
I don't know. Somehow, like, I thought I had ordered it and I didn't. So whatever.
All right, guys, we got 2 more toys, and we're already an hour and a half.
We don't have 2.
We got 3 more toys.
3 more toys.
3?
Yeah.
Who am I forgetting? Oh, that was a part of this. So that and Jazz were able to order them earlier, so I just totally forgot they were part of it.
Surprise, it's Cloud Cover.
Yeah.
Which is a new name given to this character. Just another one of the pile of discarded things that Anna mentioned. This is one of them. Sky Blue Ramjet.
That looks good.
So now he's known as Cloud Cover. He hangs out with Sandstorm. Yeah. This was the one that, when I said that Jazz might have the second most paint apps, I think this one has the most paint apps.
It has a lot of paint.
Just because it has to do the pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah. The front, there's a lot of paint on the chest.
But there's a lot of budget to do paint apps for Cloud Cover because he's the only one in his case.
Which, if you're talking about shelf warming, I could see that just because it's a
I could too, yeah.
But he's really cool, just like Sandstorm was and GT Ramjet as well. Like they really brought through these colors. I mean, you would think this would look like a radical thing, but I think, something like, oh, there went Sideswipe Missile. Like, this is way different of a color than this. Like, this could exist. This is like sky camouflage or whatever. Right. I don't know. He's cool. I like him.
Yep.
Was Sandstorm also Ramjet?
Yes.
Sandstorm is also Ramjet.
So
and that's my only complaint about this figure is I want other Conehead wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phil, we've talked about that a couple times. I was like, come on, use anybody else's wings. And then we were like, well, at least Nacelle will use Thrust's wings.
No.
It's not even the right mold. Ugh.
Like, major look.
No, it's a bummer that they're all Ramjet. I didn't get clam. I didn't get clam chowder. I didn't get cloud cover, but I do have G2 Ramjet. I do have Sandstorm, and I have them in alternate modes because of the same toy twice. And there's no third mode, so I'm not gonna get that one.
The Thrust wings are my favorite. Dirge wings are cool too. I would have liked, just any more use. Not even a G2. Just make up some dudes, or do the dudes from the catalog where Nacelle's from, and make Nacelle, the right mold.
Yeah, I really super forgot about cloud cover. It looks good. Like, the deco looks good. I enjoy that it has just a little bit of G2 clashiness in the checkered on the shoulders.
It's very cool.
It's like, because it's not very clashy until you get to that.
Right.
And once you get there, you're like, oh god, it's G2, it's clashy.
And like, but when you look at the box art on the side, and it's just like all that splashes of neon green that they threw on there, it's like, oh yeah, that's like, if you had done a few little hints of that, would have even more so made this toy pop. I like it. I don't know why I haven't gotten around to opening this guy yet, but I will shortly. Yeah. And he's got the tampos on his feet too, with the checkered pattern on his feet. Yeah. So you've won the race when you get to his feet. I don't know. Checkered flag.
So
and
what's
this is toe line and robot mode, and again, just the colors.
Oh
yeah,
so I was doing this one. So
I was gonna save the guy it's named after for last.
All right. Well, so for me, this is the star of the show right here. He looks so cool.
So this is a character that is prominent in the G2 comics. He's definitely not yellow. He's not blue, and he's not teal. He's just his normal colors. But Grimlock is a big G2 character.
He's just so lacking. Like, that head that's just the dino head that's so just yellow. The chest and the arms that are just so yellow. Like,
there's no paint.
Give me something.
Okay, so
there is no paint.
See, I feel like that.
This is paint.
Yeah.
That's it.
I feel like this is a figure that you have to display in robot mode, because in robot mode it looks freaking cool. Like, it's just I 100% agree. In Dino mode, it's lacking.
Nothing.
Whatever.
Nothing.
But
which
the
is
robot
unusual.
mode looks awesome. Yeah.
Where's my G2 colored wheelie?
Right?
Yeah, that was omitted from both of the reuses of this recently.
Oh yeah, Shattered Glass Grimlock didn't have him too.
True.
That's right. I forgot about that version.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
I didn't get either of those reuses.
Yeah.
He
I
couldn't
forgot
come
about
with
that.
Shattered Glass Wheelie, because it doesn't. Anything that would come from that mold would not be Shattered Glass Wheelie.
Also, that mold is good.
Like that. Sorry. But this could have had, brand new G2 wheelie, just like we got G2 Power Glide back in the day. That wasn't a thing until that set. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. He's here.
So that guy is cool. The only reason I didn't get him is just like, gosh, it was like a week before that was revealed for the TFcon exclusive. They released the freaking Fans Project Grimlock in these colors. Like, they must have known that Hasbro was about to do this.
Right.
Or, I mean, it could just be some cosmic, coincidence.
I was really close to ordering that one, but it was within a week.
Because you actually have an option, right? Like, you could go track this down if you don't want that one. If you look at it and be like, oh, there's not enough color on it, there's not enough paint. there's enough paint on this one. There's enough color on this one. Like it definitely.
I feel like you get that one for robot mode, or I'm sorry, get that one for his T-Rex mode, and then get this for
the dinosaur mode looks fantastic in this one. It's really fun and big and bulky, and they did not stick strictly to the design documents for this, and they added more blue than there was in the original design documents, which makes it look better. I think they stuck very strictly to those original rejected designs for this line. And most of the time it worked out. But in the case of Side Alert's head and his dinosaur mode, it didn't work out as well. Nothing's perfect.
Yeah. But Anna, if you stick with the original paint documents or the original documents, then you have to use as much paint, and therefore you save on the budget.
True. And this guy's out there, right? Like I have a feeling you can probably get him for close to the price he was at the show, which was like just over 100, which is still way more than that toy.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think in robot mode, this thing looks fantastic. Like, I love the paint, like this teal paint that's on there, and the contrast. So yeah, I definitely agree though. Like, the dinosaur mode is lacking as far as like with the paint apps. But
you could probably paint that Grimlock poop brown and puke green, and it would still look good because it's a really nice figure.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, definitely one of the best from the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean all the Dinobots have all been pretty good,
except Snarl's tail.
Snarl's little tail that he's pooping out. That's so weird. Don't you wish we did microcasters so we could have a whole show of me complaining about his poop towel? Because that drives me crazy.
You want us to bring microcasters back?
His dinosaur mode is actually very good, except for the poop towel.
Except that, yeah.
And for the people who unfortunately had misaligned Autobot symbols on the head.
That as well.
Yeah, that's a bummer for people. People have shown me some of their Studio Series 86 Snarls where the it's like mine is like this. The two sides go together perfectly, but some people are sort of like that. And it's just like, oh, that's not an Autobot symbol. That's two halves that don't go together. It's hilarious. But I feel bad for them because they'll never want to display it in dinosaur mode, but no one should because he's pooping his tail out. And on that note, let's talk about more waste and poop and grossness. Toxitron.
Toxitron is awesome.
Yes.
Toxitron, who is not a G2 character.
Not a G2
but
character.
A G2 mold.
He's a G2 character now.
This is my favorite version of this mold.
Yeah.
It is G2.
It definitely really pops.
Universe. He was canceled out of that line and originally shown at the Hasbro tour at BotCon 07. He's had two figures since then, one from the animated Optimus Voyager mold, the other from the Combiner Wars Optimus Voyager mold, both released by FunPub. Both excellent figures. But this is finally how he was supposed to look. This is the dude. He's finally here. And like most of the other vehicles in this line, he has painted rims. Kapow.
Yeah, I would have got him. I really would have. And I'm glad that it happened this way because, again, right before he was announced, this new age version of Toxitron went on sale for half off. And I picked it up because people just didn't want to buy the Toxitron version. And I'm way happier with this than I would be with that because I don't like the arms on that figure. I had the Scourge for about 10 minutes and I could not stand the arms.
You just keep the shoulder things down over the arms and then it looks fine, Anna.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. How does it say his name on the box?
I love the detail of the like ooze coming out of
leaking out of his trailer.
Yeah. Again, very Nickelodeon-esque, very just. Yeah, it's fun.
I would like to criticize his weapons, but I've done that for every version of this mold. The sword is small, the axe is not good, and he doesn't have a gun. So, kablammy from render form.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
Render form has this on sale right now. If you're trying, like, go for it.
I got it.
So, one of the things that I like about all these figures that we've shown off is all of the color variation between all of them. So when they put them on a shelf together, they all look really cool because, like, there's a zillion, different colors.
Yeah, it's a bright set. Like, it's a good G2 homage, right? Like, it's, as I said earlier with Jazz, it's more G2 than actual G2. Actual G2 was ridiculous and over the top colors, but this is just G2 at its most G2.
Yep.
And it's pretty.
This was, oh yeah, we didn't release those because we had to fire the designer because he was doing coke at work.
Did anyone mention Grimlock has the wrong symbol in front of his face? Yeah, he has a regular Autobot symbol. He does not have a G2 symbol.
I think that's consistent with the artwork, but I cannot remember for certain.
Yeah,
again,
Toxitron does have the G2.
He has the G2. Okay.
That is inconsistent, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
He joined G2. He went back in time.
Good for him.
Yeah, I think my only complaint with this set is I almost wish they wouldn't have strictly followed the original designs on all of them, just to fix a few things, make Sidestorm's face stand out a little more, make that Grimlock just have more color in dinosaur mode, make Cloud Cover a little more interesting looking. But I think there's very strong reasons they didn't do it. One is cost cutting, but the other one is just that they stick close to the design documents. No one can really complain, right? Because we can say, oh, I don't like the way the face came out, but then they can just stay back. Well, we just followed the pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it is nice, though, too, to get this because I feel like, years ago that, potentially FunPub would have done something like this set, right? And it would have cost, $500 or whatever the set cost, right? Whereas this was, I think all these were pretty much retail price, right?
Yep.
So, that's not... or whatever the current retail price is. So that is one thing.
Subscriptions used to be about $300.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really good point, Lucas.
Like that is one thing that I like now about most of these exclusives. Like some of them are a little bit inflated price, but a lot of them are pretty close to the retail price. So.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about in the past, and when I say I know we've talked about in the past, the idea of what we're getting from these capsule lines, that's the term I was looking for, and what we're getting from the Generation Selects is basically what we would have gotten from FunPub in the past, but these are better quality and a little bit better pricing, so I'm pretty happy with it.
Right.
I think they're actually a lot better pricing because the prices would have gone up over the years. This FunPub would have kept going.
Yeah, a deluxe through FunPub back in the day was $50, and we're talking 7-8 years ago.
Right, but I mean, again, like they're since you're doing an exclusive with Walmart, you're able to do a larger run. It just makes more more sense, and it's Hasbro doing it, not a partnership. So,
I mean, we've got Cloud Cover, Sandstorm, and G2 Ramjet. Like we've got a whole armada of G2 either released or design Conehead jets. Like that's just crazy to say that kind of thing.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot this mold had missile launchers.
Yep.
And now they're gunk launchers.
Yeah, they're like orange gunk, like on the trailer. So yeah.
And he has a little Matrix.
He does have a Matrix.
I need some more G2 figures though. Like I need a G2 sideswipe, or not sideswipe. I'm sorry, G2 Starscream.
I would take the other G2 sideswipe.
Well, we already got it. It's Cybertronian color or mold.
Yeah.
The other G2 sideswipe.
There's 3.
What was that one?
There's 3.
Oh my gosh, I'm a
because there was a
filthy
GoBot
casual.
sideswipe.
What's that?
Oh.
There's a GoBot sideswipe.
Oh yeah.
For our viewers / listeners, you can be amused by the person who was a baby when G2 come out, knowing more about the variety of G2 stuff.
I
than
collect
people who were
GoBot
all...
spy changers.
Well, I was gonna say I have all those spy changers. I just forgot.
They're all teenagers or tweens or something like that at the time.
In all the stuff we've talked about with cost cutting with this line, I still think it's worth getting each and every one of these pieces if you want them. Like, I don't think there's anything we could say that would tip you over and be like, oh my gosh, you have to get this one. It's so much better than the other releases. Except maybe Toxitron, I might make that argument there. But they're all good, and they're all pieces of history. And if you're interested in that sort of thing, as far as Transformers goes, these are for you, and please go get them. Even if they have their own little blemishes.
Right.
One thing I just noticed.
You hesitated on a few molds, then it's a way to get the molds in fun, crazy colors.
Yep.
One thing I just noticed that I do appreciate is like all these guys have different shades of like puke green.
They're different green.
Yeah. So it's hard to tell on the camera here, but yeah, in hand, it's Tow-Line and Toxitron are really close, but nope, they are not the same shade. And yeah.
Bunch of cool guys.
Fun.
Yeah.
So.
It was
not a
rough
variety
hit
you
once,
expect
but...
to get. You expect we'd be sitting around talking about the varieties of puke green on offer on the Transformers shelves, but we are. And we're happy.
What a time to be a Transformers fan.
Right.
Yeah. This is, to me, a way more entertaining capsule line. Like, the Velocitron was cool. I liked the Velocitron a lot. Mm-hmm. The Beast Wars version of this, where they did those kind of unreleased Beast Wars paint jobs, that to me did not, maybe that's a reason why Walmart is hesitant, because those did not do well. And I feel like that was probably more niche than this.
Yeah. That said, if they wanted to go ahead and put out the orange tarantulas, I would buy it.
Sure. More spiders, I'm for it.
Anna, what are you talking about this Sunday? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, what was I going to say? Oh, Velocitron was a little different, though, because there were two new molds in it. And this doesn't have any new molds. And those two new molds, one of them did not result in problems, and the other one caused problems, right? That Cosmos just so hard to find. People pay such stupid amounts of money for it because they have to, because you can't get a hold of it. I don't think Override has that problem because people don't have the nostalgia for Override that they do Cosmos. So.
They should. She's great, and that toy is great.
Oh yeah, she's actually a cooler character than
she's
Cosmos
way cooler
in just about every way. But you know what? Cosmos is a UFO, so he's still funny. But yeah, we didn't get any new molds this time, which is okay. Like, I think for these sets, you don't have to do the new molds, and maybe it's better because doing that Walmart exclusive Cosmos made it into a scalper's market for that damn thing, and it's such a bummer when it happens, right?
I wish that they wouldn't do new molds or like mainline characters as exclusives. Like, I think there was way too much of that before, and I like this where it's more.
If you're doing mainline characters, here's Mirage, but that's not your main Mirage.
Right.
We got two
Well,
jazzes.
that's what
That's
I
not
mean.
that's not
Is like
84 jazz.
like if you like absolutely have to get a Cosmos, like you don't want it to be the exclusive Walmart one where you have to pay an arm and
I agree with that.
So, but anyway, so
yeah, we pointed out in the San Diego Comicon reaction episode that the vast majority of things that got revealed at San Diego Comicon were repaints. So yeah, it's not just this capsule line that's just getting repaints.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think
it repaints all over.
I was gonna say probably part of that is I mean it's kind of like towards the end of the Legacy line, right? And so I can't remember. Do we know what the next wave is, or what the next toy line is? Did they mention
after
a Legacy University? Everyone goes to college.
Is that real?
Is it just Legacy Universe?
It's United, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think that's probably part of this is that you're getting the end of this or whatever before that comes out. So.
And yet none of these are Legacy molds. Except Laser Cycle. Oh, and Dead End, sorry.
Toxitron.
That wasn't as strong a point. Oh, yeah, and Toxitron. You're right. I'm done. Never mind. Don't listen to me.
So, Anna, what's your Anime Academy?
We are continuing to watch Super God Master Force. We are on episodes 17 and 18. So we get to see all sorts of Super God Master Force stuff. Come join us for that.
So that is Sunday night on the TF Talk Discord.
Does Robo Yoda teach them how to master the Force?
I'm encouraging everyone. You can find Super God Master Force with subtitles on YouTube. Just search it. If you've never watched it, it's actually a good Transformers show. Like it is a late 80s anime, so it has its era stuff, but it's well animated, it's well made, it's fun. And it provides fiction for characters you may have never had fiction for because you didn't watch the Japanese G1 stuff. So maybe you never had cool fiction for Overlord before comic books. Now you can have a different Overlord. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy it.
So, all right. Well, any other final thoughts before we wrap?
I don't think so. I think I'm out of energy. So much you too. So many colors.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Thanks to everyone in the chat for commenting as well. And we will, I guess, see you guys next week.